I can go now. Good evening. I'm Giselle Daigle reporting for Druthers News and Information. And tonight we have a heartbreaking story that is unfolding in real time here in the Maritimes. A mother's cry for help, a call to action for her 11-year-old son, Luke, who has a rare genetic disorder and has been denied unvaccinated blood transfusion at the IWK Children's Hospital in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which raises the alarm as to what are our parental rights when it comes to making medical decisions for our children. So I'll start by introducing our guests. First, we have Cindy McDonald, Canadian frontline nurse, East Coast representative, also founder of the Wellness Hub. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, thank you, Giselle.
Next, we have Bonnie Gilliard, chapter leader for Action for Canada and co-founder of the Wellness Hub, who will be talking about notices of liability a little bit later and how that ties in with Sammy's situation. And last but not least, we have Luke's mom, Sammy Monaghan. Is that how you say your?
Sammy Monaghan, yeah.
Sammy Monaghan, a single mom and naturopath who has been her son's full-time caregiver and has always made informed medical decisions and has given him the love, attention, and best care possible. Hi, Sammy.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Welcome.
So I received a call late Tuesday night from Cindy, Bonnie, and Sammy in regards to Sammy's situation at the hospital and wanting Druthers to cover her story, what she's been going through in the past week. And as soon as I heard her story and Druthers heard the story, absolutely, we want to get her story out there to bring awareness and also a call to action for her situation. So Cindy, Sammy reached out to you. And so for people who don't know you, explain a little bit what is the Wellness Hub and why it is Sammy reached out to you.
My name is Cindy McDonald. I'm a BSc and RN, and I'm the East Coast rep for the Canadian Frontline Nurses and now the founder of the Wellness Hub. I have been advocating from 1 week into 2 weeks flatten the curve publicly. But Sammy, I've worked with Sammy in the past as we've joined forces in doing rallies and events and things like that across the provinces. So when I developed the Wellness Hub as well, and on a personal level, Sammy knows what I do. My passion is to help people. And she reached out in a time of need when she and her son Luke were already in the hospital. So when I did get the message and the call, Sammy did call right back, and as soon as I got off the phone with her, I did basically a live and an action call just for a cry out for help for this situation. So this is a mother who is passionate in everything she does for the rights of her children. Her son Luke should have never seen 11 because of his rare genetic condition. Luke is alive today because I believe solely because of what his mother has done for him and continues to do for him. She truly has Luke's best interest at heart. So that's really what, Sammy and my background is. But we needed to explode this story for the corruption that's happening within the hospital. People don't realize the severity of it. When I was told by Sammy that her son was going to need a blood transfusion, everybody is on board that he did need a blood transfusion because his hemoglobin is in his boots. It's in the low 20s. But Sammy was denied unjabbed blood, even though we put a cry out that we had now it's over 300 people easy that wants to help Luke with unjabbed blood. People from all over the Maritimes and in outside of the Maritimes as well wants to help Luke and his mom, but we are being refused this transfusion. And Luke's mom is the perfect match, and she's been denied. So we need this to go public. We need it shared, not just provincially in the Maritimes, nationally. This is an international cry for medical tyranny, against the medical tyranny, what has happened. So people say in the medical system that, there is choice. There is no choice. Your choice is to agree with them, or there's consequences. So, and what happens if you don't agree with them, they actually do coercion, intimidation, and so forth, and basically lead to child and family being involved.
What
Sammy,
kind of coercions have been done to Sammy so far?
she has been informed that if she didn't basically comply with the blood product to give from the Canadian Blood Services to transfuse her son. We all know Luke needed a transfusion. It is life or death, but we've had so many people lined up. But if Sammy didn't agree under consent to give her son this blood, then they were going to call in child and family. That's what it was leading to. So, and then Sammy was at risk of not being by her own son's side and being removed from the room. That's what it's boiled down to. That is not choice. And
That is.
No, people do not realize as well, Giselle, that the Canadian Blood Services, even though they might have information there that when they take a donation, it's vaccinated or unvaccinated. No, people have messaged me, that's what it is. No, that's what it used to be. It's not anymore. They don't even ask the question. So Sammy knows that, this injection, the COVID injection, has a spike protein, has graphene. So this is a blood product. This is going to put her son at risk. And how dare the doctors state that there is very little chance? These doctors don't know the chance because this is experimental. Regardless, it is a blood product. Regardless, first and foremost, that Sammy's wishes as a mother have been denied.
So far you guys have reached out also to the Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson show, and I did watch that. It's really heartbreaking to see what you're going through. You've also had Tanya Gaw reach out to Sammy. Sammy, yes. You spoke with Tanya for over 2 hours is what I'm hearing, and she's been very helpful for you. What advice has she been giving you, or guidance that she's been giving you this far?
You mean Action for Canada? Like she's from Action?
Right, yeah.
Right. So she's given me all the liabilities, and I have served IWK, the doctor that's been giving my child blood against my will. So she's been served, and I'm trying to find the other ER doctor. So I will serve the ER doctor as well, that kind of passed the buck up to Unit 7 to take over.
So before we get into that, let's start, for those who are not aware of the story. Bring us to what happened. You brought Luke to the hospital, and what happened?
Luke had a swollen arm, and I didn't really know why. I didn't know if it was a bug bite, or maybe like sometimes because his hips get dislocated. So I thought maybe like his shoulder might have got dislocated or something, and it was swelling. So I took him in, and I thought it was just going to be just a routine visit. And I said, but maybe we should access him while we're here and get some blood, make sure everything's okay. And they said all his blood work was good except his hemoglobin. His platelets were fine. His gases were fine. His oxygen was fine. Heart rate was fine. He was showing no signs of distress. Anybody in their low 20s should be blue, should be blue in the lips and showing sometimes types of distress. But since Luke suffers from a rare genetic condition that controls the Krebs cycle, sometimes these kids with fumarase deficiencies can go into like a safe mode where their body conserves and their body kind of shuts down to heal in other areas. And I think that's what was going on. But when they see something like that, it's complete no, they have to get a blood transfusion now, or he's going to go into heart failure and he's going to die. And that was my options. Either I give them blood now, or there was no time to wait. So they told me. And but I said, I will, let me just give me a few minutes, let me get some stuff together. And we had almost over 200 people in a matter of an hour that would have donated blood to him. And most of them were like they were candidates already at Red Cross. So they already had screening done. So they would have just had to donate the blood. But I was denied all that.
Okay, and how have the doctors and nurses, how have they been interacting with you overall?
They've been very hostile, not very warm and welcoming, like they normally used to be when I used to frequent calls here. I'm trapped in a room, and in the beginning I wasn't allowed to leave because I wouldn't okay a PCR test for Luke. If Luke got a PCR test, I was allowed to leave the room. But other than that, I wasn't allowed to leave the room for any reason. And I had
Crazy.
one support person, yeah.
So if I can say something here, what people don't know, that when Sammy was not allowed to leave the room, hospital never even fed her. So she
Oh,
was,
wow.
she hadn't eaten in
They gave me a dial for dining that you needed a credit card for, like.
but
I
she
don't even
wasn't
have a
allowed to
credit
go to the
card.
but she wasn't allowed to go to the cafeteria because she wasn't allowed to leave the room.
Yeah.
Luke's mom,
Huh.
Sammy, didn't eat for 3 days.
Wow.
Bits and pieces. You know.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the work that you've done with Luke, in his health. Like you've always been on top of his health, making good, medical decisions for him.
Yes, sorry. I treated Luke because when he was diagnosed, his condition is really rare. There's only one case in Canada, and that's him. And there's only 35 cases worldwide. I haven't done any more studies because they're not researching fumarate deficiency or even how to fix the problem. So I took it upon myself to figure out, well, how am I going to stop his seizures? And then I started doing some research on high fat diet, low fat carb. And then I met some doctor in Florida. I used to follow him, and I still do. His name is Dr. Moores. So I ended up putting Luke on herbs and a high frequency diet, which is mainly consisting of fruit and vegetables and nuts, seeds, grains, or no grains, but greens and stuff. And I ended up curing all his seizures. It took me about a year to cure all his seizures, to have him
Amazing.
seizure free. And he's been seizure free. And he goes to a naturopath, a chiropractor, massage therapist, osteopath, you name it. I've done it. I've traveled to 4 or 5 different parts of the state, Seattle, California, Texas. I went everywhere with him to try to figure out how to cure him.
Wow, that's very admirable, and my hat
And
off
no
to you for
vaccines, no vaccines
no
ever,
vaccines.
no medical intervention. Yeah.
So, since you've been there, Luke's dad, has he been able to go in and visit Luke at all?
He was denied access. After I started getting attention, and I guess they must have figured out I've been getting a lot of attention and spreading some interviews around. I think they must have caught wind of that, because the CEOs came in when I was doing the interview with Lauren and kind of stood there and wouldn't leave until they said, no, we want to talk now. And that's why I had to leave, because they were just standing there like 3 stooges and wouldn't leave unless I had spoken to them. And that they said that we want to make your stay comfortable. What can we do for you? And I'm thinking, you can stop injecting my kid with vaccinated blood, for one, and you can let his father up. And she goes, we're going to make special conditions to have Luke's dad come up. But you know, Dina Churchill was in the room with me as well. So I couldn't have Dina with me and Luke's dad as well. And there's no room for him to sleep or stay over. So it's me that has to do the full-time care here. But I went home for a shower today finally, and I went and got him, and he came in for a few hours, and Dina had to go home because 3 people aren't allowed in the room. So now
So
I
what
have no
happened?
support people.
No support people. So before you weren't allowed to do those things, and then is this where the notices of liability come in, where it made some changes happen? For
The
you?
notice liability, I just got them printed and everything. So that was a process to get them all printed and signed and stapled, and they were served today. Yeah.
Perfect. Bonnie, do you want to talk a little bit about the notices of liability?
Sure. I really love notices of liability. Action for Canada has a website, action4canada.com. I really like the resources that they have because they have these notices of liability. If you don't want your child masked, they have a notice of liability for that. They have them for your employer. They have them in situations like this where, you know, you're being coerced and forced into medical decisions that you don't want to make. And what people don't realize is that we cannot be forced into any medical treatment or any type of testing. So there are laws against that, including laws in the criminal code of intimidation and harassment and coercion. So, but in Canada, we have a protection for the people that's called informed consent, and it's regarding any medical treatment. And according to even the Supreme Court rulings, no Canadian citizen is required to take any medical treatment without informed consent, which it also includes the right to refuse any such treatment. Now, in this case with Sammy, she was not denying her son medical treatment. She was asking for an alternative. And so in this case, they basically pushed her into a corner and said that there was no alternative. There was no person-to-person blood transfusion that would be made available to Luke. Here we have this little boy that the mom has made all of these decisions about his health. He's a living miracle, really. Luke is. He's just a sweet little boy. And so they have taken away the rights of the mothers to the final decision on these things. So, you know, which is very difficult. So now Sam has served doctors. I'm not sure, Sam, have you served some of the nurses too with notices of liability, or?
They weren't doing the injections. I served the doctor that okayed it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So because we need to make these medical professionals accountable for what they're doing, because we have these rights here in Canada. We are protected, but oftentimes we're not protected because we don't know our rights. So it's time for Canadians everywhere. I didn't even realize, Sam, until your case came up, that the Canadian Blood Donor Bank did not screen out of whether they had blood that was from a experimental injection or not. You know, so we don't have a choice now. We have to, if I go in for an emergency and I need a blood transfusion, I'm getting blood that has this experimental mRNA technology in it. This is quite frightening, I think. And you even said that, Sam, that you just felt like that they put a gun in your hand and asked you to pull the trigger, you know, because what kind of effect is this going to have?
Exactly. Like some will be asking, what is the big concern if Luke were to get vaccinated blood infusion? What's the concern? Some will be asking.
So I've been trying to spread awareness on this for a long time. That it was last year when they wanted to do a blood transfusion for me through surgery, and I refused if they couldn't guarantee if it was I actually said unjabbed blood. He said, what, you won't receive vaccinated blood? I said, you as well as I do know it's not a vaccine. So this product is in the blood, you know, the spike protein is in the blood. This graphene is in the blood. You transfuse it to another person, it's in the blood. It's plain and simple. But what I do want to say, and let people know that the blood bank, they did call the blood bank, because I made them call the blood bank then, and they confirmed that, you know, they didn't know which is which. They don't do screening. They haven't done it for a long time. If you went to donate blood, they don't ask you if you're vaccinated or not vaccinated anymore. Initially they did when this COVID injection did come out, but not anymore. So it's really, in all honesty, it's Russian roulette when you take blood products now, because you don't really know what you're getting. So I
guess
do
my
want to say
question-
something. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I guess my question is, what kind of harm could this do to Luke if he were to get
Well,
vaccinated transfusion?
it's, you know, nobody knows what can happen, because did he get somebody who donated that is unjabbed? Did he get, you know, somebody who donated that, you know, had the placebo? Did he get somebody donated that has multiple injections? We will never truly know. All we can do is watch Luke, and, you know, the goal is to test his blood when we're able to. So the detrimental effects from the jab, I always said right now for a long time, everybody knows somebody now that has a side effect or has died from this jab. A blood transfusion is no different. So I do want to say something in regards to Sam. I mentioned it, I'm going to mention it again, is bravo to you for serving the doctor notice of liability. I watched the recording of it, and it is amazing. And for her to not know any of your answers and hesitate with them. And she truly made up stuff, like I told you, in regards to you being a donor, that it wouldn't be likely. You are the perfect match, Sam. You know, you are his blood type. And what did she say to you? That as a mother, it's not likely that you would be able to donate, or it wouldn't be a good idea to donate because your body would have built up antibodies. I need you to know, and I need people to know, that is not true. That is not factual, because your RH factor is a positive. You know, his is a positive, even if he was a negative. Your body didn't build up antibodies against him. So, and doctors and nurses are playing on ignorance of the medical system with people, and it needs to stop. So the reason they're not taking your blood to him, because it's an inconvenience. You're inconveniencing them, Sam. You know, and the thing is, what happened too is on the recording from yesterday, they did state that they did person-to-person transfusions, but it stopped 10 years ago. Why? Why did it stop? The possibility is there, they can do it. It doesn't take 5 days or a week that these doctors and nurses said, you know.
2 weeks.
Yeah, now they said 2 weeks. Yes, heard that. But the thing is, 20 minutes they could have it, and then do a person-to-person. They don't want to, you know. You know. So that's,
well, no, she actually blamed it on the blood bank, the Red Cross.
But everybody passes the buck, right? Everybody passes the buck. Nobody wants to be responsible. But you know what I always said? She is responsible. The person who's hanging the blood is responsible. Anybody that is going against your will now, from the beginning, when you stepped into that ER, needs to be served notice of liability, needs to be held accountable. And for these doctors and nurses not knowing that this injection is a bioweapon and has a spike protein, and we can go on and on and on, and not knowing all, you know, Pfizer, for instance, 1,291 side effects. For them not knowing is no defense in the court of law.
It should have been pulled from the market
Well, we-
on death one, you know?
Well, we've had injections or vaccines out there that were pulled from the market because they cause death or side effects. Look at one was pulled after 25 people died. One was 52, I think, died. They were pulled. This is massive, massive side effects and massive amount of death. And I've said this is mass genocide is what it is.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So
and these doctors need to be charged with malpractice.
Yeah.
So far, Luke's had 1 blood transfusion.
3.
Great.
3. Okay, so that has evolved since
And
last time.
every bag they hang up, I just want to go throw up, you know, I just, everything I've done for 11 years is just gone. I feel like everything I did, every day I put into him is just completely, utterly sucked from me and him. And it's
But
not
you
right.
even asked the doctor on your recording that his hemoglobin has come up. He's doing a little bit better. Now
Yeah.
take my blood, basically is what you said.
Yeah.
And that's when she come back with the answer is no, you wouldn't be compatible because
Yeah.
he would likely reject it. You know, because of you building up antibodies. You know, no, it's just an inconvenience to them.
That's all right. We have 300 donors. We have
Absolutely.
300 other people.
And you mentioned that to them too. And then she went on to the excuse that it's going to take a little longer. But the thing
2
is, we've
weeks.
been at this for a couple days now, Sam, 2 days.
Yeah.
I had people from all over the Maritimes, Ontario, and one international.
In a medical emergency, there's no reason why somebody would have to be screened to death to donate blood. I would take the chance, you know.
But you're his
They're
mother.
already
You're his power of
screened through.
attorney. You're his power of attorney. You're his
This,
proxy. You are his decision maker, period.
these policies are outrageous and they need to change. You know, people need to understand that this does not work. So we need to get back to person blood transfusions, and we need to have a choice whether or not we want to receive blood from, you know, the blood bank where we don't know whether it has this experimental jab in it or not, or if we want just a person to person. We should have that choice here in Canada.
Yeah.
And this
100% agree.
And this doctor stating that, you know, because of the red blood cells in the donated blood, you know, the chances, you know, are likely, you know, small. But there's a chance. She doesn't know that. It's experimental.
It doesn't matter
blood
what
product,
the chance is, if
period.
it was 1% or fucking 95%. The point is that it's going into my child's body without my consent. And I was under duress. That's malpractice.
Absolutely.
Absolutely is. And I'm really hoping that there is a lawyer out there that will take on your case because this here needs to set a precedence. See, what people don't understand is that this could be you. This could be your child. This could be your grandchild. This could be your aunt, your uncle, your grandma. This could be anybody like this, you know? So Luke's situation here is just opening up our eyes and making us aware to that these things exist, and we are pushed into the corner and being told that we have to do something that goes against our conscience. This is Sammy's against her conscience. Everything that she has done for her son has been natural. He has never been vaccinated. All she asked for is untainted blood. I don't think that's too hard to ask.
And it's not too hard for the nurses and doctors to make that happen.
That's right.
Like, yeah. And if my son, God forbid, because I'll probably have to do something really bad or I'll lose my mind. But God forbid, if my son passed away a week from now or 2 weeks from now, 1, they'd blame it on his condition. And 2, I signed the paper to give him this blood. How do you think that's going to put me in a mental state? You know?
but that was under duress.
It was
I'm
under
sorry,
duress, but I
Sam.
still
It was
signed
un-
it,
You know
right?
what? I'm gonna let you know something, Sam. That's a mother's guilt, plain and simple. But whether you signed it or not, I need you to know this, whether you signed it or not, they were intervening to give it to him without your consent. But the only difference would have been is they were removing you from the room to do it.
Yeah, I 100% believe that was their next move.
We know that. We know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. You were
Um,
literally backed into a corner where no parent should have ever been put. And
Yeah.
that's why I say, this is happening in Canada. And Luke is setting precedents. And Luke's name is going to be heard all over the world. So
Yeah.
it just, not for the right reasons, but it's going to make awareness. It's going to bring to light the corruption in this medical system, in Canada, and already, Sam, people don't, are coming to light. Like, are you serious? This is happening here right now. I'm getting messages like this, Sam. I'm like, yeah, it's happening, so it's time. It's time for people to pay attention. People don't even realize people are being denied surgeries. People
Yeah.
are not allowed to access their loved ones in nursing homes or hospitals. There are still people that don't even realize that. If you are jabbed, you're able to go in and visit a loved one, freely. But people don't realize that that's discrimination and segregation.
What if
So-
my child would have died in the hospital and his father couldn't be here?
Absolutely.
That-
Absolutely.
It
And
could have
that's a
happened.
crime. It's a crime, no matter what. This is abuse of power. Abuse of power.
They wouldn't even let him
and
pass security.
anybody,
Mhm.
I
It's like
know.
getting
And
kind of
I've,
country.
and I've said many times with people in the hospitals and on the phones and stuff like that, just following orders or just doing my job is no defense in the court of law. They're
No.
crossing on people's our Canadian rights and freedoms, right? So
Either in the
just,
Nuremberg Code as well. The
well,
the Nuremberg Code, do no harm. It doesn't matter if you didn't know. You
well,
still
well,
you still did it.
I said that to somebody yesterday with doctors and nurses. No, not knowing is no defense in the court of law. Especially doctors and nurses have a duty to know
Yeah.
that this is an experiment. That what the ingredients are in it, what the side effects and the deaths that they are causing, and the harm that they're doing. To inject that into anybody, and even just knowing that you don't have an insert to go by, it goes against your license. Like you said, doctors have an oath to do no harm. Nurses, a lot of people don't even realize they take a pledge. It's a Florence Nightingale pledge, but basically it means the same thing, to do no harm. And it actually states in there that they will not administer any harmful medication to their client or patients.
Mm.
And now we're
Let's
starting to
talk
see
So
children. We're starting to see children suffering from the side effects of the injections, strokes, whatnot, right here in the Maritimes, even, which is very alarming. And you guys have also reached out with Amanda Fords, and she's Children's Health Defense. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that, Cindy?
I called Amanda because I know Amanda through the Canadian Frontline Nurses, spoke to her several times. I had called her and I told her about Luke and his mom, Sam, of what's happening. She said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Will you cover this story?" And she said, "When do you want to do it? Do you want to do it now?" So it was like, I said, "Can you give us an hour for I can get, Sam and Bonnie?" I said, let them know and then get ready for it. So it is supposed to be airing today, and she said it'll be international today. So
Awesome.
everybody that is hearing the story, like even when I called Laura Lynn, it was, I think, within an hour, Laura Lynn reported on it with us on an interview. and she was in an airport. This is how important this story is, needs to get out. People need to be aware of what's going on. And
And it
because
can't die
this
down, because if
is,
it dies down, then it's just going to be another thing that's just tossed under the rug. And then who dies next? Whose kid get injured next? You know, what's next? Are we just going to let them kill our children? Or are we going to stand up and untuck our balls and be parents and stop this madness?
absolutely.
Well, you're certainly setting a good example for other parents, taking the lead and advocating for your son. And hopefully other parents will see that and follow your example. We need to speak up for our children. No one else can do it but us as parents.
Exactly. And my child's nonverbal, so I am his voice and I am his protector. And I don't feel I'm doing a very good job right now, other than I can't save him from tainted blood, but I can tell his story around the world.
Absolutely. So where do you see things going from here?
I don't even know. I just do day by day, hour by hour, you know. I don't even know what's going to happen.
How is Luke doing right now?
His numbers are up to 50. So I said he's out of the safe zone. So I said, let's stop this, because every bag that goes into him, I'm almost having a heart attack. So I said, just let me give some blood. And still, you know, the video, they're just breaking me every day. And I would assume they're going to try to get another 3 bags into him.
Now, something that's been brought to my attention for here in New Brunswick is the funeral homes. I've had close people speak to the mortician or the funeral home director and ask if they've noticed anything unusual with the vaccinated deceased. And there's one in particular, he's 30 years of doing this. And he said, yes, absolutely. We've noticed that people who have died from pneumonia normally have fluid around the lungs or in the lungs. And when he goes to do I'm not familiar with the terms, to embalm or
Yeah, embalm.
Embalming.
yeah. So he's noticed that it's not liquid, it's like a gel. It's like a gel that's surrounding. And when it comes time to inject and put the fluid through his veins, it's not going, because that same gel is in the veins. And he's not the only one who's saying this. And I'm wondering, why are they not getting together and speaking out? You know, this is something that really they should be speaking out on.
Horrible. And not
They
to
should-
mention, you know, all the little coffins they're making, you know, with all these little babies that are dying, with all these jabbed mothers that are having stillborns, or they're dying after they're born, or whatever. This all needs to come out, and I don't know why people are remaining silent. Is it because it's not their child? I mean, I don't know how close it has to hit to home, but it's what happened to me can happen to you in 5 seconds. You know.
Absolutely. So this is a call to action. So what is it that you would like the people to know? What is it that you're asking?
I'm just asking people to share this and get it out to everyone and get it worldwide. Because if we don't stop these mandates and these protocols and these masks and these vaccines and, you know, forced blood products that is probably vaccinated blood into our babies, then I don't know. I don't know what's going to take place, what has to happen, you know? But I just need everybody to share it so we can get it out to everyone.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add? No? Okay, well, I'd like to, do you have a video
No.
of serving
Okay.
the liabilities?
Yeah,
that
I do.
You have, you
Yeah.
do? Okay. And where can people go see this video?
I think Cindy's gonna take care of that. I'm like a little bit computer illiterate.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, Cindy, that you'd like to add?
No, you know, I totally agree with Sam. Luke and Sam's story needs to be told. It needs to be heard, and people need to take action.
Absolutely. And
Enough
if there's
is
a
enough.
lawyer,
It ends when we say no.
exactly. If there's a lawyer watching who would like to reach out to Sam, where could you be reached?
I can be reached at 902-440-6910. Now, I was told today that only lawyers within Nova Scotia or Halifax can take on a case for malpractice within the city. But I don't know if that's the case, but that's what I heard. And
normally that is the case. However, if there's somebody that's outside of Nova Scotia that would like to take on the case, what they can do is debrief a lawyer that's local that might not be able to take on the case without them being debriefed by somebody who maybe is specialized in that. So we've done things like that before in the past, my husband and I. So even if there's somebody that's outside of the province, all we need is somebody inside the province that would be able to file the claims and to go to actually court, but be debriefed by the expert in that malpractice suit. So don't be afraid to reach out to Sam. We have to figure out solutions to these things, and holding them accountable is one of the solutions. Another solution is get to know your rights and do some pushback on it. Don't feel like that you're alone. Reach out to people, and you're not alone. Sam, you're not alone. Like, people are reaching out to you from all over the place, and it's just so heartwarming. Your case is heartbreaking, but it's heartwarming that people are standing with you in this case.
Yeah. And I want to thank everybody too that has contacted me and that has, donated money, because, I do live almost an hour away from here, and going back and forth. Well, I just started going back and forth today, but anybody that did help me, I just want to say thanks for that, and calling me and texting me and giving me support is what makes me hang on.
My heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for Luke, and I hope that we get a positive outcome out of this. So I am wishing you the best, and I'd like to thank Bonnie and Cindy for being here and bringing awareness to what is happening. And also, for those who are watching, Druthers is written, funded, promoted, and distributed freely by concerned Canadians. And if any would like to have Druthers mailed directly to their door each month, just go to www.druthers.net and subscribe. And thank you so much. And I wish you guys the best. And you guys always end your feeds with together.
Oh, together we win.
We win.
There you go.
So thank you so much, Giselle. We appreciate you and Druthers. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thanks to the viewers. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.